Watch the series unfold. The first battleground we'll be going to is Tomb of the Spider Queen. Dignitas with the pick, maps that are banned out, Praxis Holdout, and Dragonshire.
And when the monkeys in the game, you know that things can go bananas. So they are going to try and make sure that Dignitas is going to lose the first one here right away. Dignitas heading into this as the favorite, there's no doubt about it. But the monkeys are a little bit unpredictable, just a smidgen. And as we already heard from Whoopi, you can't underestimate them because there's no pressure on them. They just play what they feel like on the day and they're doing well with it. That's something that the Zealots experienced firsthand.
I think if there was any other team here in the HGC that came out and said, okay, we're not going to be putting as much expectations on ourselves as we have in previous forms of HGC, I'd be a little bit more critical. But I feel like for this team, it just naturally fits for them. They love to not have that pressure on them. Being able to not have set expectations allows them to perform the way they want to. And for some reason, it gives them results. So let's go into it. Tomb of the Spider Queen. We'll see if the monkeys can deliver.
Yeah, they're just going in and saying, hey, we're going to do what we're going to do, and either it works out or it doesn't, but we are done with just putting insane pressure on ourselves. Doesn't work out for us, hasn't done so in the past. So far we're getting the results that we want, the results that we need, and we're just playing our own style. And the Menagerie with the first pick in the first ban here in game number 1, Tomb of the Spider Queen. Dignitas, of course, we have seen a lot of bans in there, and against Tracer, against Genji, those have been the 2 staple bans that we've seen so far in Phase 2 of 2018. Are the monkeys going to mirror that? Or will we see a bit of a change in priorities here, especially with Urel these days dominating the side lane and rising in priority for all the teams?
It feels like it's got to be a Genji ban here if Monkey's going to go a traditional route, especially with Dignitas wanting to move into the Genji pretty often. But something that I'm actually worried / interested into is whether or not the Malfurion is going to be a big pick here for Dignitas. It's fallen off for a lot of our teams so far in HGC.
I think Deckard is a really good option here on Tomb of the Spider Queen as well, so you can always flex into him on the support role if you want to prioritize that. Genji banned out immediately. It's actually taking a lot of time for that pick, and for Dignitas, of course, the question is still remaining. Tracer ban, yes or no? If you don't ban Tracer, what else do you ban? But these are the 2 bans that we've seen most of the time. I think Tracer was actually banned by now 27 times. She's banned in 71% of the games that are being played in HGC Europe right now.
Oof, poor Tracer mains. Not being able to play their Tracer. Other things that you could possibly think about here, Urel. Dignitas themselves have mentioned that they love Urel, they want to play with her. Whoopi is really enjoying that character and wanting to bring her to the mix, but we haven't seen her from the monkeys quite yet.
Whoopi has actually been playing Urel in all of his warm-up games here today when he was playing Hero League, grinding it out, warming up for the series. Was visible on some of the streams. Other players have been streaming, and he's been on Urel in nearly every single game that I caught there. And he wants to play Urel. You know that already. The question just is Alex going to contest that?
Yeah.
Since Alex has already been talking a lot of smack and saying, like, Whoopi, I'm going to come for you. So we're going to find out if that's going to be the case. But as expected, Tracer banned out. But both of the teams a little bit hesitant to snap lock these first bans here.
Monkeys thinking about their first pick, and they go with the Malfurion. They'll take it away. Something that Dignitas is willing to pick up in the past, but as you mentioned, they have been enjoying the Deckard Cain life as of late.
Yeah, exactly. So Deckard Cain is something that I would expect Xaylia to pick up. I could even see them going into Deckard Cain in the first rotation here already, since there's a good chance that the monkeys are even banning out Deckard if they get the chance to do that. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Dignitas head into, let's say, Urel and Deckard as a combo even, trying to get 2 high priority picks for themselves. There's of course really good alternatives now too, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen. But given the priority that teams have given Urel and how much Dignitas has been playing Deckard lately, that would make sense for them.
Wondering about any other possibilities they can get. Deckard and Urel are the 2 that I would normally go to, as you just mentioned. But other wave clear heroes that could be good here. Johanna, if you really want to pick up a Chromie early too, that could be a fix. Ooh, Phoenix also is someone that has been getting a lot of love lately. And Team Dignitas believe that he is worthy of a 1-2 pick as Urel and Phoenix come out. And they'll leave the support up for later.
So they take Urel, they let Deckard go for now. And again, that has been a go-to pick. There's definitely other supports that you can take. We have seen Karazim appear a lot more often. We've seen, of course, also that you can play a bit more around Rhaegar now that he got buffed as well. So for the monkeys, after the double pick that they're heading into, the question that I have is still, are you going to target Deckard Cain or are you going for something else? Frontline is another issue, because you know that Dignitas plays a lot with Stitches on the map, they play a lot with Muradin here, and then you have Johanna to consider too. So monkeys could in theory also pick one of the main tanks now, and then simply go into a ban on the back end against the front line. Now there's another hero that of course still floats around in the back of our heads, and that's Chromie, so you need to be careful about her. She's been oftentimes banned out in the second rotation, and that's still one of the potential picks for Dignitas. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what exactly the Monkeys are going to ban out.
There's a Johanna we were looking for. And I was wondering about Gul'dan. We haven't seen Gul'dan in forever, and if anyone was to bring it back, I feel like the Monkeys would do so with Crosby, willing to play the Gul'dan. But he does enjoy his own Hanzo here. So Hanzo comes out, gives him a little bit of wave clear, and matches pretty well with the Johanna in terms of trying to force a fight into a condemn. So nice foundation here for Monkeys. 4th and 5th pick will, of course, line up their roster well.
And now to the bans. For Dignitas, actually I haven't really thought too much about Dignitas' ban, but they could target the offlane, they could target Alex specifically. Then again, for me, it's always a question, can you really target Alex? He plays so much weird stuff and has such a weird priority oftentimes into what he wants to play in these games. He's not necessarily the one that makes the final call on these decisions, but it's pretty difficult to ban him out in any way. So you could also just simply target additional damage, and that's what they do. Chromie, as mentioned before, is a really good ban on the map and usually comes in on ban number 2. So Chromie gets targeted here, and now for me personally, just a question. Do you ban Deca? Do you ban the support? Do you try to push Zelia away from the zone control? Or what are you going to head into here?
Other options, you could look to possibly banning out a Muradin as well, which is up for Team Dignitas. Has been a strong main front tank here for a lot of our characters. Team Dignitas will have to bolster out a little bit of wave clear on the end of their draft. They do go the Muradin route, but it has been one that they have favored as of late.
And you also need to think about heroes like Stitches. You need to think about a couple of other options as well that could synergize with Phoenix, but they go for Deckard King. And I really like this, given that they took Malfurion away, so they're targeting Zelia now, and Zelia has, first of all, been fantastic on Malfurion, but he has also really improved on Deckard Cain. He already showed at the mid-season brawl that he likes the hero, and he transitioned that over into phase 2 of 2018, played the hero more and more with a lot of success, so it makes a lot of sense for the Monkeys to target that. Karazim coming in doesn't really come as a shock either. We already talked about him a bit earlier when we were mentioning the, I don't want to call it support choke, but the supports being targeted here. And Jaina, who has seen a lot of popularity at the mid-season brawl and is now also a bit more of a staple within the European regional meta.
And Karazim's makes sense here for Zelia. He's mentioned that his 3 top heroes right now, if he had to pick them, would be Malfurion into Deckard into Karazim. So they go with the 3rd option slot. Thrall and Dahaka comes out for that 4th and 5th pickup. So you get some wave clear with Dahaka. Get a little bit of experience where you can continue to soak as you need to. Looks like a lot of the pressure here is going to be on Hanzo though to land some arrows for Thrall to follow up onto. Monkey's going to need to have a solid early game.
Yeah, I would actually prefer for them to go into either, I mean, you can play around the Stitches composition if you want to, or go instead into Muradin. There is still Diablo that floats around here, but I think Diablo would have a bit of a rougher time once the Thrall reaches his 16 and Alex makes the adjustment into Alpha Wolf. So this is one of the things where I feel that having an escape tool would help them really a lot to keep him alive. So would probably prefer for them to pick Muradin here, but again, Stitches has been a hero that they can use. They have Jaina for blow up. They don't really have a lot of lockdown after a hook, but if they execute a really quick 7-sided and Jaina damage, they should still be able to blow targets up. So it's still an option.
Yeah, the slows from Jaina and Garrosh. Enough. Ooh, they go into Garrosh instead.
Kind of forgot about him, to be honest, but I would have still expected them to go into Muradin with how much JPL likes the hero here. But Garrosh isn't bad either. Good throw into the back. Jaina with the damage. Garrosh throw into the 7-sided is actually a really fantastic tool here. They don't have a lockdown with a Root or Stukov Silence, but they still have a very, very quick blow-up potential against anyone that gets thrown into the backline.
Yeah, and Garrosh actually feels kind of nice here. The only major poke that you're terrified of is Hanzo, but Thrall, of course, Chain Lightning, unless he goes for a full engage, which you can dodge out with Indomitable, you're fine. And then you have Dahaka and Johanna, which really don't put out that much poke. So Garrosh actually has a pretty solid time in staying alive here, despite them having a Karazim, which isn't the biggest burst killer that we have here in the HGC. So Garrosh actually kind of fits pretty nicely here.
Yeah, and also, again, the priority on Urel. We talked about her throughout the last 2 weeks, but especially this weekend with the buffs, she is a lot more dominant than she was before, and Booby is now playing her again. So we're gonna watch out for her, go about the build a little bit more. But yeah, Urel has been absolutely fantastic, creating a lot of opportunities, disrupting any kind of coordination on the opponent's team, and with the tankiness that she brings to the table, she's doing exceptionally well.
Oh, pretty solid wave clear too. I mean, she just kind of really checks all the marks you need for a top laner. Sustain, wave clear, the ability not to die, and then if you have the chance to add on top of that, the ability to force fights in. If she's able to get a nice flank, she has that ability. Let's get ready here for game number 1 as we get ready to move into Tuma Spider Queen. If there was one team that you had to pick quickly on the draft, who would you pick here, Caldor?
I mean, it's tell Dignitas.
All day, every day?
Execution level.
No.
Especially after the performance they showed at the mid-season brawl. If they bring their A game, it's tough to beat. And the only thing that the Monkeys have going for them right now is just that we have no pressure. We are going to play, and we just follow through with that. It worked against other teams. They nearly took down Team Liquid as well, so let's find out if they can take a few maps off Dignitas.
On the left in the blue, it will be Team Dignitas. Wubby playing Urel, Zelia on Karazim, JPL on Garrosh, Poink on Jaina, and Snitch to play Phoenix.
And of course, towards the other side of the map, on the right, we have the Monkeys. We see Crosby at this point on Hanzo, Make himself on the frontline Dehaka, Alex the Pro G, aka the Monkey King on Thrall, Remaball on Johanna, and last but not least, Splendor, the new addition to the team on Malfurion.
Splendor doing pretty well last week. Had a couple of moments where he was picked out from Malfurion, but other than that, his play has been cleaned up really well. So fitting in nicely here with the Monkeys, as he has transitioned teams. Obviously, he used to be on Team Liquid. Team Dignitas trying to slow down this rotation a little bit here, even body blocking their minion waves, making sure that Monkeys can't step up and get a drag, which Make goes for, but misses out.
Yeah, already a bit of a route happening here. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work out for the Monkeys this time. I mean, this is the big one. You go up against the toughest team in HGC Europe at this point. And Dignitas, they have shown a little bit of weakness in the first maps. It's a bit of a curse that they need some time to really warm up and get into their own flow. But then they come back with a vengeance here. And this is a team where you can't make any mistakes. If you make a mistake, they are going to take you down. So the Monkeys need to be careful. Very frontline heavy setup that they're running here with 3 melees, Dehaka, Thrall, and Johanna. And especially Dehaka is already suffering a bit down here at the bot lane. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed from Alex. Like, he is dodging the 1v1 versus Wubby. Doesn't really respect the 1 versus 1. I'm not quite sure if I can agree with that decision making here.
For me, I actually enjoy the decision making because he has gone from facing off against Wubby to facing off against Snitch, the one that he was trying to trash talk during the week, which means that that actual battle will happen on the field in front of our eyes. So that is actually a big move for him.
So we're switching the battle up a bit? Okay, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, bringing the fight, kind of backing up his bark a little bit here, bringing a little bit of bite.
I mean, the thing is also, even if Alex loses the team, loses the fight with his team, if he gets a kill against Snitch, you know he's going to talk smack.
Yeah, all week.
It's like, yeah, we might have lost, but did you see how I killed Snitch? Like,
that'll be the name of his stream title. Got 3-0'd by Dignitas, but I killed Snitch. Enjoy the stream.
Yeah, so there's a lot of pressure on Snitch right now. Can't even get killed, even if you win the game.
Well, so far, Team Dignitas is doing well with the pressure, as they have been getting the upper hand in the wave clear. Granted, on the other side here for the Monkeys, they're working on that level 1 quest from Hanzo, as well as Thrall. Thrall is 2 stacks away from finishing that Echo of the Elements. Looking over to Crosby, sitting out of the 8 of 20 that he needs. So they're just stacking up here, setting up for that mid-game where they hope to really power spike around a level 10.
Yeah, Alex is doing really, really well with the stacking. He's 2 minutes, and he's done. 2 minutes and 23 seconds into the game, he's done with his Echo of the Elements, so that is pretty fantastic here from him, and allows him, of course, to, from here on out, start poking heroes a lot more aggressively instead of focusing on the minion wave itself.
Over to the stacks available for Dignitas. Jaina sitting at about 600 of the trade that she needs to finish off. Only saying a few region globes so far, about 6 so far. That's one of the things that you can do with Jaina, is make sure you continue to wave clear and focus on those region globes. Have your tank step up and grab those region globes, and typically you can finish that puppy pretty quickly. Currently right now sitting at 9 stacks, 6 here for JPL on his level 1. Night Camp comes out early for Dignitas, trying to put a little bit of pressure on the map. Now, typically, you're not at this early in the game trying to grab these turrets. If you can, great. But what we're trying to do is buy a little space so you can go for a turn-in. And Dignitas gets that turn-in. 36 to 36 here against the Monkeys.
And we've been also talking a bit about the build for Urel, and we'll be currently on level 4 going into Aegis of Light. So it's the extra armor that you grant allied heroes once that you use your Avenging Wrath. We have also Marat's Insight on 1, and this is the typical talent that you are going to see on Urel, just simply because it gives her the extra sustain that you need as a solo laner. So it's all about casting basic abilities, and then you heal yourself a little bit more with your auto attacks. So the lane sustain is really crucial. So Mara's Insight is the talent if you plan to run Urel on the solo lane, which is the standard to go for. Nice drag here by Marquez. They're trying to put the damage in. Zelia's low, but can jump out. Both of the teams still with a lot of aggression and the exact same amount of gems delivered. But what stands out to me a bit is that we haven't really seen any major moves onto the mercenary camp at the bottom of the map. We have seen the night camp taken, by Dignitas, but none of the teams was heading for the Siege Giants yet. There was a major point of contention for a lot of these teams in the recent past, trying to grab that early, but it oftentimes gets invaded, since once a hero disappears from the map, or even two, the opponent knows what's up and will try and invade and take you down and steal the camp away.
Especially when you consider the Monkeys comp. If Thrall or Hanzo were to leave, which would be the main candidates before level 7 that you would send over to grab those Giants, you're definitely going to go chase them down. It'll get easier at level 7 when Feeding Frenzy comes online for Dahaka. He can then drag that Giant camp and be able to clear it up pretty quickly. So we may see him try to sneak it down. But Dignitas is making a play here for that turn-in. Crosby doing the same, though, as he goes in for his 8 gems. Wants to turn in the top side, but Dignitas gets the interrupt.
And Crosby is interrupting the entire time with his arrows here with no problem whatsoever. Poik with the wave clear here. Nice move against Alex, though, and the Monkey King might be in trouble. But immediately Rimmerballer has his back, moves in, pops the trade, and makes sure that with the Condemn, he just pushes everyone away from Alex. The problem, of course, being that at the same time, the problem for Dignitas that is, that at the same time the Monkeys were still able to confirm their own turn-in, so now we have the first objective, but the kill against Hanzo is a fantastic start here for Dignitas into the first push attempt by the Monkey Menagerie. And of course, at the same time, JPL with a great move here, making sure that Poik didn't fall in the counter-attack.
Yeah, JPL just made 2 incredible plays there. First off, finding the kill, as you mentioned, but saving Poik allows for the team to keep all 5 up. And you need Jane to stay alive during this Web Weaver phase, as you need her to clear out these queens as soon as possible. And you see Poik already starting to do so here in the middle, which allows Phoenix to stay in the top lane. Team Dignitas shouldn't suffer too many casualties, and it kind of is shown in the experience lead, actually, as they go up to 8.25. And remember, they have a turn-in available right after this, too, so they can jump up to level 10 if they're able to get it.
Also, Ubi, with a slight adjustment when we are talking about the build on Urel, normally on level 7, what you see on most maps is him going into the Divine Pig, also sometimes known as Divine Steed, which just allows you to move a lot faster on the map. It gives you a lot of escape tools as well. But this is one of the smaller maps that we have in the pool, so right now there's a slight adjustment going away from the standard talent in Europe and instead going for Samara's Light. Trying to get that extra movement speed here, depending on your health pool.
When you're about 50%, you get that movement speed. Able to zip around. Team Dignitas gets a turn-in that we were talking about, and they'll be playing for 10 here. As they sit at about 9.25 in experience, should be able to get 9.5 as they soak that middle and bottom wave.
I mean, this is just bad news for the Monkeys. The first turn-in didn't really give them a whole lot. Dignitas is still in the lead when it comes to experience, and now they have their own Web Weaver wave, and this one is going to hurt, especially since Dig is about to hit level 10. So once that's the case, they can simply invade any fort and start and take a fight here and take opponents down, and they're going to look for exactly that. So the Monkeys need to be extremely careful while defending against the Web Weavers. This is going to be rough for them.
That it is. Remember, trying to put some blinds on Snitch so they don't burn those turrets down too quickly. 7-sided strike even coming out here. Why not? You have a 10 level lead on your opponent, and you can wait for that cooldown. It's only 50 seconds, so Zelia tries to put a little bit of damage on Rimmer. That will Snitch to step up and continue to get the min wave. But look at the middle. That's where the major pressure is coming here for Team at Dignitas, as they're already sieging upon this fort and attempting to even take it out.
Yeah, they're more than a level ahead by this point, and now we are just seeing that fort fall. It's rough for the Monkeys. This is one of those situations where the only thing that you can do is you take the beating and you try to survive the fight another day. You take your own level 10 and then you try to go into a team fight and secure your own turn-in. Both teams have at this point enough gems to go for turn-in number 2. The Monkeys now finally with their own heroics as well. Blessed Shield, Isolation. We have the arrow on Hanzo that he can now use as a follow-up. So there's definitely a CC chain that they can now establish.
They're also thinking about his heroic here. But somebody need a pickup. Twilight Dream comes out. Oh, but Johanna, though, steps up and is taken a 7-sided strike in the face. Thunder comes in and gives a Twilight Dream. They're trying to fight back against Team Dignitas, but Poik is able to sneak out and get to the Night Aura. And here comes the salvo. Alex Proji is down. The Monkey King falls, as we have Team Dignitas taking out 2.
And remember, Paul, I think he could have walked out of the 7-sided there. I think the thought process at the beginning was to just move more heroes into the circle so that the damage would be spread, but he still soaked most of it. He could have moved out in that situation, and they lost a huge amount of gems in this case. Alex actually had 24 gems as he was thrown into the backline and then blown to pieces. So we have 3 kills against 0 in favor of Team Dignitas. They summon the Web Weavers once again, secure that second objective for themselves, and are already 1.5 levels ahead.
Earthquake was chosen in the last fight and was used. Oh, hang on, though. As we're having some aggression from Monkeys, they're trying to jump on top of JPL, but Zalia steps up and puts some damage on Alex and Proji. Gets hit with a Blizzard. Make also being slowed. 7-sided strike coming out. He has to burrow just to stay alive, but Snitch is able to take him out with a final auto attack, and that's 2 more kills as Team Dignitas is starting to run over the Monkeys.
Scene is absolutely destroying right now. Make was holding the main amount of gems for them after Thrall fell earlier. So they just lost another 27, which means that in total, 51 gems have been lost in the last 2 minutes. Fantastic play by Dignitas here, and they're mercilessly pushing through that mid lane, dropping that keep. Well, we see Garrosh at the top doing work, level 13 in their hands. Nearly a 4-level advantage. The arrow is strong though, hitting Poik in the back, but there is no follow-up.
The spell cap is still up. Team Dignitas has full protection here from any damage coming out from the Monkeys. Salvo comes out too, it's up again, hits 4 members. Alex Proji's low, won't have to back up, and Splendor completely out of mana. Make gets caught by JPL and tossed into the middle of a fight. And meanwhile, this top lane continues to push in, but so does the bottom lane.
Yeah, right now Dignitas, they just don't know what to attack first. They don't know if they can go for core yet because the death timers are so low. I mean, we're only 10 minutes into the game, so they decide instead to focus for the second keep. They are 4 levels ahead right now. 7 kills against 0. Whoopi jumping into the backline. A couple of B-steps coming out as the 2 solo laners are going toe-to-toe here for a moment. But Dignitas is just destroying everything now.
That they are. 5-level lead. Wowzer. As Team Dignitas clears out everything in terms of the front layer defense. They take out 2 keeps, and they're playing for a 3rd on this push.
This is Dignitas just playing quick match at this moment. 4-level lead by now. The Monkeys finally reach level 12, but there's a 2-talent advantage for Dignitas, and it's just a full fiesta as we see another kill coming in. Here comes the circle. Down he goes. Make is dead. 9 kills against 0. The Monkeys getting completely steamrolled here.
Dignitas is going straight to business here as they move towards the core. Start to apply some damage. Splendor gets a nice root on Phoenix, but Snitch is going to go ahead and sidestep that arrow. It hits Karazim instead. But with catapults now starting to make their way in through the middle wave, Team Dignitas feels like they have full control here, and still that 5-level lead is in effect.
I feel it's a fair statement. If you have a 5-level lead, then full control is usually something that is appropriate.
Yeah, I was hesitant to say that, but I think I agree with you. Splendor gets knocked up again. There comes a beautiful Q from Poik as he clears him up. The core still has its shields, but Dignitas, they want to change that.
The biggest problem that Dignitas has right now is that the low death timers of Monkey Menagerie are bringing them back to defend over and over again. But this is a disaster. The Monkeys, 12 kills against 0. Make it stop. There's children watching.
It's about to stop. 40%, 30% on the core. Karazim brings out a couple punches and a couple of kicks as he'll get the kill. Zalia giving the final blow onto Alex. And Dignitas go up 1-0. No 1v9 for Alex today.
I think there are a couple of states in the US where you can actually find for that as brutal a beating as we've seen right now. That was...
It was aggro. For sure.
13 kills against 0, 5-level lead, 2-talent advantage. Game basically over 10 minutes in. And then Dignitas monkeying around for another minute and 50.